Hello guys, today's video is about the biggest mistakes that I see people make, even at a master, grandmaster, and challenger level. 5 mistakes, just talking about some of the things that I see frequently happen at the high levels of play, and it's something that will affect every elo, and it's the things that basically pee me off as well. I get so angry at these things because they are basic bits of knowledge that if you just learn will help you play the game better overall and hopefully cause less pain to your teammates. So first of all, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. Reference link in the description below. Let's get into the number 1, which is about dragons. And it's not only just about dragons, it's also about objectives in general. The biggest mistake that I see that throws so many games, even at Master and Challenger level, is contesting dragons for no reason. Or when you 100% lose that fight because A, you are outnumbered, B, you're out of position, or C, you just don't have a very good team fight comp in general. In this particular game, we did a combination of pretty much all 3. We engaged the dragon when it was 3 versus 5. My Twisted Fate and myself were not in position. People had backed. We didn't even have a very good team fight compared to them, so we were not exactly good at team fighting in the first place. And my team still decided to run it down for what was a mountain dragon. It was a mountain dragon, and we didn't even steal it either. And the win from this team fight resulted in their Kaiser getting a ridiculous amount of kills and a load of gold, and she ended up carrying the entire game. You need to realize when it is and isn't appropriate to fight for objectives. I know a lot of content creators will tell you that objectives are absolutely key to winning the game. And that is 100% true in a lot of scenarios. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, there are so many scenarios where teams just throw games because they have this like single track mind that they need to fight for objectives no matter the cost. And it is just not the case. There are so many things that you can do on the map that would result in getting your team a net advantage that are not randomly running it down for objectives like I see in so many of my games. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm just not, I'm just sick of my teams throwing games because they feel like they just have to go for an objective and they don't really give it any second thought. So just be a bit aware about objectives and how they're not the be-all and end-all, and you just have to be a bit more careful about how you choose to engage those fights and when you choose to engage those fights also. The next point comes down to, and I'm sure you guys feel my pain on this one, not knowing when to back after you get a team fight win. Okay, here is the situation. You've just taken a team fight. It was a close one, but you've come out on top. Your team now want to get something for that team fight win. They want to get an objective. They want to do a Baron or a Dragon or something. And then they keep going. And then they keep going. The enemy respawns and they keep going. And then suddenly, the enemy is there on top of you, killing you, turns the game around, takes the Baron for themselves, and you end up losing the game. How many times has that happened? I'm showing you some footage right now of that happening in real time, where my team got a team fight win, but overstayed. Look, 2 inhibitors down on the map. Look at those 2 inhibitors. They're down. 2 inhibitors down on the map. And then my team stays and greeds for the 3rd one. They end up killing us off one by one. I made a mistake, obviously, by trying to help the Fiora in the enemy jungle. And then they end up getting Baron. And whilst this game should be relatively unlosable, we're in a situation where there is a very real chance of us losing here. Which, spoiler alert, we ended up losing the game. When we could have won, clearly, as you can see by the state of the map. It was a very, 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 very rough situation to be in. But I'm sure you guys sympathize. Another big situation that this happens in is around the first dragon fight. Sometimes you'll have a team win a first dragon fight, but they don't win it by a massive amount, and then they decide to go for the Drake when there's like 3 of them on like a quarter HP, and then suddenly the enemy team entirely respawns and kills you and takes the Drake anyway. And that happens all the time. Just be aware of what you can and can't do after a team fight, and if you have to ask, it is better to be safe than sorry. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. It is better to be safe than sorry in wildrift. If you feel like you're not guaranteed to win the game, don't overextend and don't push too far. And this feeds into my next point. By the way, the picture on the screen is myself and my dad when I maybe was about 6, maybe 5 or 6. Anyway, mistake number 3, not going for the safe objective and instead overreaching. Right here is a perfect example. Look at my team. They're all dead. Do you know how this happened? We got a team fight win, and instead of just going for the safe objectives, like the tier 1 tower in the bot lane, my team decided to try and tower dive the tier 2 in the mid lane, and everybody died. Everybody died. And I'm 8-2-11, by the way, on Ziggs, because I'm not taking risks. And look, you know, at the end of the day, there is probably a school of thought that says, well, you probably should have followed your team there. But I always err on the side of caution in Wild Rift. It's so easy for an enemy team to turn things around. It's so easy for an enemy team to just suddenly switch a game on its head because you make a mistake and you overextend. You need to be much more careful in Wild Rift about what you can and can't take. Take the safe objectives first. They're still worth a lot of money. They're still worth a lot for your team. And then later on, when you are getting more decisive team fight wins, you can decide to go for a bit more of an aggressive push, you know, towards those more dangerous objectives in the middle of the map or towards the enemy base. But it's just always a reminder that you should be looking for the safer objectives to go for. Try to think, you know, responsibly with what you're trying to achieve off the back of a team fight win. Too many times, way too many times, have I seen my team get 2 or 3 kills and think that that's enough to go and push down the middle of the lane and try and get a complete game win or you know, some kind of inhibitor take, and you just end up dying because you don't have as big of an advantage as you thought you did. So just be aware, it's always better to go for the safe objectives if you're in doubt about what you can achieve. Oh, this next one, it makes me angry, guys. I have so many teammates that just can't, for the life of them, pride or otherwise, let themselves get carried. Honestly, it absolutely grinds my gears. You do not need to be the superstar of your team every single game. Sometimes you just need to accept that you're gonna have to get carried once in a while. And do you know what it takes to not get do you know what it takes to get carried? It means not running it down at every given opportunity, and instead just letting your team do the hard work, staying safe as much as you can, and not giving away too much. Honestly, I cannot tell you how many people refuse to get carried in this game, because you know, you all know who they are. They're like the Yasuo mid who, for one reason or another, wants to go 1-10, constantly trying to go for this crazy 1v5 outplay, and just can't accept that he's sucking this game. Like, if you suck in a game, accept that you suck and let the teammates that are doing good carry. I'm 8-2-6 on Akali. Look at the score, it's 21-19. And it's because, as you can see, my Yasuo, specifically, can't accept that he's having a bad game and constantly looks for 1v1s and keeps dying. The Thresh overextending like crazy for no apparent reason. You know, you've just got to accept sometimes that you're going to have to be a little bit more conscious about how you're approaching the game. It is okay to get carried. I love getting carried. If I'm playing badly, please just let my teammates carry, and I just need to focus on not dying. That should always be your focus when you're trying to play a game of Wild Rift and you're not doing very well. Just focus on not dying, grouping up with your team, not overextending in lane. Just doing your best to not die is always going to give you a better outcome than not. The next one is giving up too early. I cannot tell you the amount of times that my games have been pretty winnable, and then someone with the mental fortitude of a spoon decides to spam FF because they've gone 0-2 in lane. I just wish people, and it kind of leads in from the last point, people who are having a bad game just accept it and play safe and just farm minions and try not to get in fights. In this game, I was having a bad game, but look at the scoreline. It's 17-13. It's because I haven't been running it down, and I've been trying my best to get carried. And I haven't been spamming FF because I know that the game is still very winnable from this scenario. You know, you just need to, and this is by the way, this is what happened all game. Constantly had Alistair roaming to my lane for some reason. Anyway, regardless, sometimes you just need to have the mental fortitude to say there is definitely comebacks on the cards. You always have comeback potential in games. Don't FF. There were so many games where I felt like I wanted to FF, and then we ended up coming back and winning the game because, you know, throws are very easy to make. You know, so many throws opportunities are around in Wild Rift. So just be aware that FFs, they're never usually the answer. There's always a good chance that you can come out and actually end up winning a game. All right, guys, thanks for watching. This is a bit more cathartic for me to complain about this, but hopefully it helps you guys think about the game in terms of from mistakes. And hopefully you guys also resonated with this, because I'm sure a lot of you have seen people making these mistakes as well. Anyway, I'll see you soon.